So ISO 27000 is the international standard for information security. Information security refers to protecting information. So any kind of information that you keep, it could be digital information, it could be physical information, hard copy documents, any kind of information, even information that's kept in each person's mind. Knowledge is a form of information as well. It's about protecting information, keeping information confidential, meaning that only the right people have access to it, keeping the information available, meaning that people can access that information when they need it, and also maintaining the integrity of the information. So making sure that when the information is stored or when it's transferred, that there's no corruption that happens, meaning the information doesn't get corrupted, the information doesn't change and become incorrect in that process. So what sometimes tends to happen is you might have a database that you use. So databases where you keep all your information. We want to try and protect that database. We want to try and put controls in place to make sure only the right people have access to that database. Only the right people can log in and make changes to that information that's stored there, as well as making sure that when we need to get to that information has a couple of different factors. One of the factors is technology. So making sure that you have the right hardware. Whenever you use or access information, very often, especially more recently, we use technology to access the information. We need to log into online portals, we need to log into the database or open our laptops, log in, put our passwords in. We need to make sure that the passwords are secure, so not using very easy passwords like password 123 as a password. It's easier to guess. Someone can try and log on using that password. Making sure that when someone leaves an organization, that their access is revoked if they had access to that. It's part of it. So that's the people controls of it as well. Making sure that each person within the organization has the necessary understanding and awareness of information security, that everybody contributes to information security in an organization. And part of that is also leaving sensitive information on your desk while you're not away, or not locking your screen when you take a phone call. All of those factors need to be controlled, and that awareness needs to be instilled into the organization. Another aspect is the cybersecurity part of it, which is your protection against maybe your malware, so anti-malware software. So you usually have anti-malware software installed in your device. So whenever you go to a website, maybe if you by accident download a file that has malware in it, that malware might try to get access to all the different sensitive information. It might be ransomware, so it might hold your information ransom, meaning that it will stop you from accessing that information, and then force you to pay a ransom in order to restore your access. That's a common technique used. Another way is hackers. They try to access your information through your networks, and social engineering as well. So people try to get access to your office building, coming through the front door, tailgating, someone pretending, especially in big organizations, pretending that they lost their access card, and so they need to get access to the building, and someone who's a legitimate employee might give them access and allow them into the building. That's the social aspect of it. So all of these are factors that need to be considered in order to protect the information security. So there are people controls, which we've spoken about. There's technology controls, which is your anti-malware, your firewalls, which block suspicious transactions. So anytime an outside device tries to access our internal networks, we'll pick up on that and we'll identify when that's happening. Also blocking certain websites. So websites are a big vulnerability. When you go onto a website, you need to make sure that the website is secure. You don't want to be accessing insecure websites where there might be the possibility of downloading malicious software. And we don't always realize when that's downloaded because of the way that it's set up. The ISO standard is an international standard where more than 160 countries, member countries, come together. They discuss all the different controls that are necessary to ensure information security, and they decide on what's necessary. They all vote, and when the vote passes, that control gets included as part of a requirement. So the standard itself, the ISO 27001:2022 standard, which was updated in 2022, contains all the necessary controls to implement an information security management system. Now, that management system is geared towards helping the organization as a whole maintain its information security. And it ranges from strategic aspects of the organization, all the way from understanding what your objectives are, what your strategic direction is, how your organization is structured, all the way down to the departments, the different divisions and processes within the organization. So it's controlling those processes, identifying threats and vulnerabilities, and the risks associated with those. So when you understand the risks, you can come up with treatment plans. So identifying those risks, coming up with treatment plans, and then reducing the risk to your organization. And then it's about continual improvement as well. So once you've established your information security management system, it doesn't end there. You have to keep maintaining, because as technology moves, as technology progresses, you need to keep up with those with the threats that develop. So as hackers and malicious software gets stronger, your organization needs to get stronger as well. So it's all about maintaining, it's all about continuing to improve as you implement. So because the ISO standard is internationally recognized, it means that if you get ISO certified, it shows that you are meeting the international standard and you're operating at an international standard. When you implement an information security management system, you have to define the scope of the management system. So as an individual, you might make use of the management system. You might make use of the controls and implement those controls in order to achieve information security within your organization. But the standard is set up to help organizations control their information and make sure that their information is secure. So an individual can receive training and become an information security auditor. They will then go into an organization and assess the organization's information security. But when it comes to certification, the standard has a set of requirements that need to be met by an organization. So an organization can meet those requirements, get evaluated against those requirements, and if they meet those requirements, then they can get that certificate that says they meet the standard. The process for getting your ISO 27001 certificate includes firstly implementing your system. So going through the standards requirements, implementing all the controls that are necessary, then evaluating your system against those requirements. That's usually an internal audit. So either you would have someone internally who can evaluate your system against the requirements, or you might get a consultant to come in and assist with the implementation and the internal auditing. Once that internal audit is completed, you'll then get a report that tells you all the gaps within your organization. You need to then close those gaps and make sure that you don't just correct the gaps, but also you eliminate the cause of those gaps, so we make sure that they don't reoccur. After that, we usually get a certification body who comes in. There's a range of different options in terms of certification bodies, but their role is to conduct audits on organizations and issue those certificates. So you'll go through phase one, which is how ready your system is. So it'll just be a brief evaluation of the readiness. And then phase two is where the auditor will go through in detail all your processes, all your departments, and understand where your controls are, evaluate your controls against the standard. If the auditor deems your system to be adequate, you will then get a recommendation to receive a certificate. We often don't realize the connection between our information security and our daily lives. And more, as technology gets integrated into our daily lives, we're actually becoming more vulnerable as individuals. If you run an organization that has employees, that impacts your organization. Your individual employees are also sensitive to information security and cyber threats, right? There are a number of case studies where we see how information security systems being compromised has directly impacted the safety of employees. That can be your emergency response systems, your fire suppression systems. In mining, that's a common one where you have big machinery that can be unsafe if it's not controlled properly. So someone gaining access, gaining control over your machinery, that can put people's lives in danger.